Hi, everybody. How are we doing today? Huh? You forgot how you're doing today? That's a good place to be in. Yeah, for some reason, like last week, I built the Dharma talk within a day and gave it. Wasn't nervous. Today, I have been working on this for a year. I'm nervous. Go figure. Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Aisha. Thank you. And I'm going to be doing some reading, so I need some glasses. If you sit with us in the mornings, you get to sit 2 hours of Zazen, well, 2 50-minute periods of Zazen, then a 10-minute Kenyan. You get to enjoy a nice service, and then to top it all off, the cherry on the cake, you get to hear Dogen from Shobogen Zozui Monkey. Every day we read a chapter, we read a section, time permitting. Time permitting being, if it's a really long section, we'll cut it up in pieces. But for the most part, it's a section a day. And as you go through the Shobogen Zozui Monkey multiple times, you will start to read or start to see Dogen say, for you to be a homeleaver, you have to follow the Buddha. You have to follow the Buddha way. You cannot follow the way of making money, so to speak. And what it comes down to is only concerning yourself with the Buddha way for Dogen. For today's practicing practitioners, it sounds like he's asking you to be poor, neglect your family, and do nothing but sit and practice. In which sometimes it's ideal, you know. Yay, I don't have to deal with the family. I get to sit, I get to practice. You know, in the Tibetan side of Buddhism, there's a nice saying, the cushion is not a lifeboat. But is that also in the Zen side? Don't know. And what that means is people use the cushion as a form of escape to get away from their daily life so they can just sit and calm down, and that's not the purpose of sitting. Anyway, given the way Social Security is going these days, when it comes for me to retire, Dogen will probably be right. I will probably be poor, have 1 bowl, 3 robes, and that's it, all to my name. But today in this modern age, we're able to be a home leaver and practice. We're able to be a home leaver and, what do I want to say here? We are also able to take care of a family. We can be a home leaver and a homemaker, just with some minor adjustments. And surprisingly, one of the things I have been trying not to say anything within our lineage. You know, we have common phrases within our lineage, and I've been trying not to say them. Why? I'm just being persnickety. But if you look at how we live, and one of our most wonderful phrases that we have, we live by vow, not by karma. Available on Sanshin Source with t-shirts too. Act now while supplies last. When we live by vow and not by karma, we shift our compassion for the world and not the personal benefit. So we have this dichotomy coming up between home leaver, family, vow, karma. And the alliteration or the analogy I'm making is that as a home leaver, we just change our focus so that we can still be a homemaker at the same time. So being a homemaker is living by vow. And in living by vow, we're not living by karma. We're not living by our own personal aspects, but we're living by what we consider to be, what we would consider to be the best option that we have for all people, for the entire universe at this time, right here, right now. Suzuki Roshi has a Dharma talk about answering his wife when sitting in Zazen. And this one stuck with me for many, many, many years. I couldn't even tell you where it is, but I still remember it. How many people would get annoyed at having to interrupt their Zazen to answer their wife or someone else? Or you're sitting there and, you're sitting there in Zazen and there's loud noises all around. And, it's just like, oh, this is annoying, or someone calls you on the phone and you get very perplexed at or upset with them because they're calling you in the middle of Zazen. Well, Zazen is Zazen. The phone ringing is the phone ringing. That is Zazen in and of itself. Suzuki Roshi would say, just why not say yes and answer their wife? It's much simpler to say yes and then do what's needed to be done. And so you sit for 10 minutes, or you get up and go to dinner, or go wash the dishes. To be annoyed is karma. You're looking at the thing, you're looking at life like, you're looking at life as you normally have within the connections and iterations between you and life, karma. And it just happens by rote. Focusing on personal things, that's karma. To say yes is to live by vow and to focus on the other person. That's still part of our practice too. When someone interrupts us in Zazen, that's our practice. Yes, what can we do to help you with? Oh, okay. Today a newcomer came in and no one was there to greet them. I had things I wanted to do. Oh no, that's not me, that's my personal thing. Okay, I will help and do what I can to get someone situated. I'm not thinking of me, I'm thinking of the other person. Dishes are a wonderful point of practice. Are you making them clean so that they are clean, or are you washing them so others may use them if and when needed? When you sweep the Zendo floor, are you making it clean, or so that others may walk on the Zendo floor? Do you get the difference? Do you see it coming in? You live by vow. You're living for other people. You're making that effort so that other people can participate in reality. In contrast to the karma of, I want money, I want to do things, I want to go travel. I wouldn't mind living in Malibu. But there is that distinction. And so when we clean the Zendo floor, we're not making it clean to make it clean. We're making it clean because we're cleaning the Zendo floor. There is that difference. So another aspect, for example, of what it means to be a home leaver and still being a homemaker. Do you want your children to go to the best college they can go to, or do you want them to make the best decisions for themselves? There is that subtle difference between Harvard and what they can do in the world even if they don't go to college. In Crawfordsville, there is a pizza place called Greek Pizza. It is pretty good. I like going there from time to time. One of our members, Neil, lives there, and I meet my friend Beth there when we go up to Crawfordsville, or when we meet. And it's owned by someone who who graduated high school, but instead of going to college, he decided to buy the pizza place. And in doing so, he's actually run it pretty well. I've been in and around the university system since 1987. And I have seen countless and countless numbers of people who just didn't want to be there. There's the old adage, you teach for 5 people. And in a room of 30, that gets rather disconcerting. But the difference is clear. You're putting, you ask your children to go to the best possible college ever. Is that really in their best benefit? Or have you taught them how to think for themselves and how to approach life in a way that's consistent and that is a way that's very helpful for them? There is that difference between the two. And being a home leaver focuses on the people, not what they need or want. One of the things that one of my hobbies has been philosophy of science, and I can't believe I thought of this. As an example of a home leaver. Robert Hooke published the Magrographia back in 1665. It was heralded as a masterpiece, large precise drawings of things seen through the new microscope. People were astonished and stunned, and some people said he made up the images because they could not get such precise images. And he also had a different problem too. Hooke was an assistant to, oh dear, I forgot his name already. He was a contemporary of Isaac Newton's. Anyway, Robert Hooke was an assistant. He wasn't a nobleman, he was a commoner. And when it came time for him to join the Royal Society, they let him join, but with some conditions. They didn't really trust him because he wasn't a nobleman. But for him, he lived by vow and produced work for humanity. And he also shunned the karma that he was given, nobleman and assistant, and he worked his way through the system. And he continued with his scientific practice. So again, he was being a home leaver. He was working towards and for humanity and making things better for us, instead of him saying, oh, this is my lot in life and my fate, and I can't do, and I shouldn't be doing anything else. Another aspect of being a home leaver I have uncovered has been my job. I have a day job besides this. Well, this isn't really a job. The pay's adequate. It doesn't pay anything. But for my job, if I wanted to make 40 or 50,000 more a year, I'd quit and go into the corporate world. And my vow initially to go into the university, I hate to say, is karma related. I wanted to work in a university. I thought it was cool to work in a university. I had no idea about the politics, but if you think politics and corporate world are bad, you should really see a university. Whoa. But as I practiced, and as I practice here, my vow I went from karma to vow. And how did I do that? I came here to help out. I'm a cancer survivor. The gentleman who introduced the cure is Dr. Einhorn. He is up at the hospital in Indianapolis. He's my oncologist still. I think he's like 90 now. A frail old man, but wonderful. And I decided to come work for this university so I could help people. I am not a doctor. I cannot help people be doctors, but I can help support the databases for the university system in which those doctors came up in. And if that little thing if that little thing that I can do can help, then it's okay for me, and I'm happy for that. I don't need that extra $40,000 or $50,000 to work in the corporate world. I'm happy where I am. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And that's trying to help as many people as possible. And just because my job, which is database administration, doesn't touch the medical school, they have a different IT system altogether, it still doesn't matter. The work I do helps students grow and become something that they are not. They get to transcend their lives into and live with the world that we live in, and that's what I would love to see everybody do. Another aspect of my job is I don't study computers and programming languages to help my career. I study them to help my teammates with what we need to do. I really don't have I really don't like to study Ansible and YAML and Python, but it helps the team. And for me, that's my vow. And for me, that's being a home leaver. We're supporting the world around us. Another thing that I think is quite apt is gathas. We did a gatha on opening the sutra, but gathas are simply living by vow. They turn your head away from the profane toward the Buddha way. Zuiko had a really wonderful way of doing that. She would write a simple gatha, and you would just have one phrase and then the next, and they would just seem to naturally come together. And I was always amazed by that. Ruth Ozeki, Tale for the Time Being, has 178.9, has a section on this. This is a novel, and this is talking about gathas. And talking about rules, this is written by, the person speaking is a teenager, a young teenager, at her grandmother's temple. And talking about rules, the two of them had all these crazy routines they did for every different kind of thing you can imagine, like washing their faces or brushing their teeth or spitting out their toothpaste, or even going for a crap. I'm not kidding. They bowed and thanked the toilet and offered a prayer to save all beings. That one is kind of hilarious, and it goes like this. This is her translation. I would never have done it this way. As I go for a crap, I pray with all beings that we can remove all filth and destroy the poisons of greed, anger, and foolishness. At first, I was like, no way am I saying that. But then you hang out with people who are always being super grateful and appreciating things and saying thank you. In the end, it kind of rubs off. And one day, after I flushed, I turned to the toilet and said, thanks, toilet. And it felt pretty natural. So, gathas are really, really wonderful in that they they show you in one direction. Well, as I go for a dump, that takes you one place, but then I pray with all beings that we can remove the filth and destroy the poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance. That brings you back to working with thou. That brings you back to being a homeleaver. As a homeleaver, you vow to save all beings. We say it all. We will say it all. We will say it when we finish, when we wrap up. And sometimes we make that common mistake of, I vow to save all beings. I vow to save all beings. I vow to end them all. Whoops, wrong way. You confuse the two. I vow to end all illusions. But anyway, what does this have to do with being and becoming? Simply, being is karma. Becoming is constantly practicing at this moment with what you have, and being present with it as much as you can. One of the things that occurred to me the other day is, as I'm using being and becoming, it is the same as opening the hand of thought. You don't have, or you have a certain idea of something and you hold on to it and you grasp it. Then you open your hand of thought, let go, to see what it actually is and what's around it, the connections and the interconnections. That's what we do with, as a homeleaver. That's what we do when we live by vow. We are seeing the connections within the universe of what we have, and we're making the best decisions that we can with them so that all may benefit. Finally, I'd like to leave you with this. Joko Beck, I forgot which book of hers it's in, starts talking about pushing a chair in. And it becomes a wonderful koan. When do you push a chair in? You would think that it's all the time. Chairs out in the middle of the way, you push it back in under the table so that someone won't trip and fall over it. But that's not the case. There was one time I was at a restaurant, a buffet restaurant, table sat 20 people. Someone put a chair out in the middle of the aisle so they could block it off so that they had effectively a section of the table. Why would I go and mess that up and push in the chair? It's a really good way to think and see how things are interconnected, how you relate to those interconnections, and whether action should be taken. There was one time I saw some chairs. They were out a little bit, but not too much from the table. And I go, oh, they need to be pushed in. And then I looked down at the bottom, like, no. The table had a cross for a stand, and the chairs were lined up with the cross. One there, and then the other one there. And they fit perfectly. It looked odd, but it fit perfectly. This is a good koan for you to chew on. So when it comes time for, and I've been chewing on this for years, decades actually. When you focus on this and when you look at this, you start to see your relationship with other people and other things. And then after that, you can decide whether or not you want to be a home leaver. It's fun. And with that, I shall end. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm happy to take questions. Yes, Sawyer.
So when you were describing like going to college and your sort of position in supporting people to go through college, basically, and for that whole system to function, you used the phrase like you see what you're doing as allowing them, the students, to transcend their own life. And I found that to be a really actually helpful phrase, because it feels like that's what, just living your life in this way of looking at it is like karma pulling you along, and you just kind of going along. But living by vow, there's a way in which that is like transcending, going beyond the karma that just wants to do whatever it wants to do. But it was interesting also that you were talking about, okay, for some people, going to college is not the way. So it's like there's infinite ways to transcend your life or be pulled around by your life, and it's sometimes hard to tell which is actually happening. So I wonder how do you tell whether you're being pulled by karma or vow?
Well, you're always being, I really should do a Dharma talk on karma, shouldn't I? You're always pulled around by karma. You always have your karma, and you have multiple types of karma. Like, do you remember my story about how I became self-aware?
I don't think so. Watching basketball?
Yeah, it was a basketball game. It was a basketball game, probably here. It was in black and white, and I was noticing some ball players there, and there was an African American. And at the time, we didn't use that phrase. And I'm like, I'm not African American. I'm white. I'm glad I'm white. Where did that come from? More aspects of karma. It's the social side of it coming in. Well, yes, I want to help the students I want to help the students transcend their lives and make whatever they want of their lives. The one thing that I want to point out is this practice does not transcend reality. It shows you reality. And so as we take a vow, as we become homeleavers, as you will become a homeleaver, we are encountering reality and doing what we can to answer those questions within that framework. And we're also doing what we can to find that framework. And a real answer to your question, how do I know if I'm being led by karma or if I'm being led by vow? You have a good Dharma friend. He helps you do that. They help you do that. Another Dogen thing from the Sweet Monkey. I have had, I have many different types of karma coming in from my from the vast richness of my life. And it's nice to see from it's nice to see from somebody who's skillful to correct you and to help you along the way, and not in an accusing manner like we're used to at work or a bad family, but they help you in a good way, such that you can see through yourself a bit to know that that's not karma that is karma that you're dealing with, and it can be let go, and you do let go of it. It's again Dogen. It's like walking through a field with light mist. You don't get wet immediately, but you get wet eventually. So. Yes, sir.
Just to follow up, because the way you left it was a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
I think I remember from your previous story, but when you said, "I'm glad that I'm white,"
yeah.
Could you clarify that a little bit?
It was, I know, it's very uncomfortable. I was also like 3. I mean, I wasn't like 14, right? No, it was just, for me, it's a good indication of what happened or what was happening within the structure of the social framework. And what also tells me is, it also tells me that even though I don't remember any of it, there were conversations going on that revolved around race and race relations, and I picked some of that up. And that's all, that's karma, and I use that as an example of social karma. Another aspect that made me realize that those conversations were going on, Saturday Night Live. They would have skits that would start off with those questions, and then they would make fun of them. But that told me that was going on at that time. By all means, I am not happy that I said that, but I also know that what I said was part of what I was doing, and I also know that I have friends and I have vows in place to stop any of that from happening ever again.
Yeah, thanks. I just thought for the people that hadn't heard the story before, the added context would be helpful. And I had a second question too.
Sure.
So there's a famous phrase in Pure Land Buddhism from Shinran, and sort of to some extent, all forms of Japanese Buddhism have basically like adopted the same kind of way of being a priest as Pure Land in some sense. And he referred to himself as neither monk nor layman.
Oh yeah.
And I really liked the way that you described how to think about leaving home as sort of, not really literal in the old-fashioned sense of what that meant in early Buddhism, but in the way that you described. So I'm just curious what you think about that phrase and how that maybe fits into your analysis.
Neither monk, neither layperson. What's kind of funny is, I always say I'm not doju when it comes to talks. And for the first time, I actually have a memory of reading that. So it's on parody, but I have no answer.
No problem.
Well, in one sense, I think it's a good starting point. Neither monk, neither layperson, in that you can flesh out what that means within your practice, and it opens up a lot of opportunities and a lot of things. Because he was married when he wasn't supposed to be, and so saying that he was, and even his wife gave Dharma talks as well, I believe. And so neither a monk nor neither a layperson puts him in an open position such that he can attend to his wife. He can leave home and be a homemaker at the same time.
Thank you.
Wouldn't it also be a matter of social identity is interwoven into your cultural karma, such that identity itself as something that differentiates you and separates you from others is the essence of delusion, even if that identity is that of a monk?
Well, yes. I actually, I think being a monk is cool. I really do, and it's not. Yeah, there's karma there, and one of the things I found for identity is it doesn't really, saying that I am a monk doesn't really flesh out, no, cash out, no. It doesn't really do anything. People don't know, other than for an ear. People don't know what it means to be a monk. My favorite thing that happened to me was I was dressed in full kit at my cousin's funeral. Get up. Yeah, no, that's not. It's not a get up. It's religious. And we're at a funeral here. Darn it. So, yeah, I actually, it's good not to have an identity, because that way you can fill out whatever you fill out or that you need to fill out.
But it still has a utility.
You still have utility?
Well, the identity has utility, it just doesn't have reality.
I think we're waxing.
Well, I mean, you have an ID, you have your social security, you have your bills, your address, you have all those things that intermingle you in the secular world. You don't want to become psychotic and dysfunctional, so you work with all that, don't you?
Being psychotic and dysfunctional is okay every once in a while. Just as long as you're still following it by vow. I really can't answer your question. it waxes philosophic.
Well, you mentioned, you have a background in Tantric Buddhism as well.
Oh, that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the very essence of Tantra is no separation, where you integrate everything and make everything a path to awakening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still have no answer.
Well, thank you for that no answer.
No problem. Anyone else? Owen.
Jeez, sick last week. I think you were describing how vow has much to do with directing your energies towards other people. It's not about whatever little kind of greedy, impulsive, whatever's in here. It's you're interested in other people. As I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about kind of two connotations, I guess. There's other people in the specific sense of, I want to help Doju have an easier time cleaning the Zendo,
Mm-hmm.
or have partner have an easier time getting the kids to bed or whatever it is, right? And then I'm thinking the connotation of just like other people, just whoever, whatever, right? That the energy is kind of going outwards, but not towards any particular person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about how maybe the former feels a little bit more karmic to me, right?
What's the former?
Helping this particular person.
Mm.
It might be a little more, how do you say, actually self-indulgent in a certain way, right? And I was wondering if you just had any thoughts about that.
No, not really. I mean, one of the things that I have discovered with myself lately is, as I became Shuso, Shuso. I can't even say my own name at times. So anyway, as I became Shuso, I've had some things happen at home. I have holes in my ceiling from leaks, and they're trying to schedule things to tear out everything, which I can't. I don't want to live with plastic in my room right now. So I'm stressed, and when I'm stressed, I stop doing things. So this morning, when I was going for coffee, I saw some people carrying the bakers carrying their stuff out to the car. There's a guy in front of me, and I'm like, they probably need help. I don't do anything. The Buddhist monk that doesn't do anything. I'm stressed. I need to get my coffee. The guy in front of me, oh, here, let me get that for you. And he gets the door for them so that they can put the baked goods into the car. Was he working by karma, or was he working by vow, or was he just being himself? We all have karma. And we continually generate karma unless we're sitting zazen. But the thing is, and the wonderful thing is, things are temporary. Karma changes. And it doesn't have to be karma all the time. It can eventually change into a vow. I goofed on my vow earlier today. I didn't follow through with it. I will later on. Something else will pop up. I will have many opportunities to do that. And how will I know it's not karma? When I do it naturally, like grabbing a pillow from behind your head. Or like naturally putting a chair back under the table.
I'm curious about what you just said about karma when sitting zazen.
Yeah. You're not generating any karma when you're sitting zazen.
You're breathing. Karma is action. All actions have consequence.
Yeah.
Karma is intentional action, specifically.
Well, I mean, the
Or-
word itself doesn't have intentional in it, it just translates as action.
I think it's understood to be intentional action. Like if you step on a bug and you don't intend to step on it, it's not considered bad karma.
Oh yeah, that's right. What he said.
So don't step on bugs.
Intentionally.
Intentionally, but it's okay if you're unintentional.
Any questions from anybody upstate? Up country? In the next state? Yes.
I just had one quick kind of follow-up. I'm curious what you think about it. So you mentioned Zooey Monkey and how we read it every morning. I'm not sure if you... It always sticks out to me because I'm so bad at it. But, you know, Dogen says that we should hide our good deeds, our good actions, and be open with our mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's reminded me of what you said, you know, like if we're trying to do good deeds overtly, then we're not really doing that. But if we're doing good deeds for unseen people, helping people that we won't actually like see the benefit, then in a sense we are kind of like hiding the good deed. So I'm curious what you think about that, or like how maybe how important that aspect is, because you know I totally agree with the thesis of your talk, like of kind of being a home leaver is to live by vow and to make your actions things that are beneficial for all beings. But to what extent, you know, is it important to do that in an egoless way, or is it okay to? I mean, because there's still like, it's still probably better, right, to do good deeds even if you're trying to like feel good about yourself versus just not doing good deeds. So to what extent is that important, do you think?
There's one time I was at a coffee shop. When am I not at a coffee shop? I really think my Dharma talks should be, buy me a coffee. I was at a coffee shop and I had two separate incidents. One, there was a guy that was busy and he had like 3 cups of coffee and I tried to help him. I go, oh, he needs help with his coffee. And I tried to help him and I just got in the way. That was a mistake. In contrast, it was a long line, waiting to order, and I was back towards the door, and I just saw someone at the side of my eye with a trolley, so I opened the door and they come in. I didn't even think. See the difference? I think that acting out with intention, or acting with intention of ego to help people is another form of karma and not vow. And also, if you haven't forgotten, if I open my own temple, it will be called Machigaiji, Mistake Temple. Because mistakes are wonderful.
Machigaiji? Good name.
Well, my friend Beth gave it to me. So, because mistakes are wonderful. They tell you immediately where you went wrong, where you need to be, and then your karma kicks in and takes you away from all of that. You know, you feel insecure, traumatic experiences pop up, and you know, one of the things that we try to do in therapy is deal with that. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And that's why mistakes are wonderful, because they tell you everything and nothing at the same time. Anyone online in the clouds?
I'm sorry, I'm really interested in this. So
Okay.
I think you're describing that vow has to do with like non-self-consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens and unfolds.
Well, you're still conscious of it, right? And and as you're doing it, and as you're intentionally doing it, you're generating karma. There's no good karma or bad karma, but you're getting yourself away from the questionable stuff.
I guess I'm hesitating. Maybe this is a mental picture I have. Maybe it's not. I'm hesitating because I'm imagining a wanton person who might be a little bit more liable to hurt people, and you know, there's an unself-consciousness happening there too, right? And I'm perplexed a little bit about the difference. Yeah.
I'm not really clear on what you're setting up.
But I don't know if I am either. So it's coming together in me right now.
Well, let's talk about it later. Okay. And no one online yet? Not even Beth thanking us for the, thanking Isho for the, that's a good name? Okay. So, okay, thank you very much, everybody.